Hi there. Good evening. Hope all of you are doing great and in great spirits, especially in these tough times. I thought I'll take this opportunity to share a small incident that happened with me, an experience, although very small, left a great impact on me. So this was probably a Monday morning. This happened probably a month or a couple of months ago. That was Monday morning, and I was coming out of my apartment building into the main entrance. I was driving out of, the apartment entrance into the main road. Out of the corner of my eye, I realized that just right ahead, 100 meters ahead, a huge traffic was already building up. Frustrated that I was, probably I was suffering from Monday blues in hindsight, if I think back. My frustration level, in fact, spiked a notch up, realizing that I could get stuck in a traffic already. So believe me, you, Bangalore traffic has a way to get under my skin, and I'm sure a lot of you out there who are in Bangalore would say amen to that. And I believe its persistent onslaught can even rattle a penancing monk. Even his peace can be rattled. That's what I think. So in that split second, I decided to take a left turn into a very small lane instead of obviously taking my normal route, a monumental blunder. I realized a little too late. As I drove on, I my car stopped with a big thud and I ground to a halt. As I tried to put my foot on the accelerator and try to get my car out, all I could hear was the sickening squeal of those tires. They got stuck in the mud, and I could, in fact, the more I pressed on the accelerator, I could actually hear the sickening squeal getting louder, and also I could feel the acrid fumes coming out of the tires. Wow, what a day, what a lucky beginning, and what a lucky day it's going to be. I was thinking as I came out of the car, and when I looked down in horror, I realized that the front portion of my car had gotten nicely settled into a huge wet mound of mud and sand and dirt. I had not realized because I was really agitated. I didn't even think of looking into the road when I took a right turn. This is when I think it's a lesson for me that I thought that day that we should never ever take decisions when we are really agitated or frustrated. So, resigning to my fate, I started frantically calling the Honda City. I have a Honda City, so I tried calling the Honda service center. Obviously, you have those 24-hour helpline. So I called the helpline, and they dutifully, unemotionally recommended that I should call the service center. And then when I called the service center, unfortunately, there was nobody to help me. It kept ringing and no one was supporting me. As I was standing there by the road, my antics, in fact, must have really attracted a lot of onlookers and passersby. And a small group already had started gathering and started looking out and looking at me and my car with a lot of interest. When I realized that this is going to be a hard and long day, and finally I got hold of the service center guy. He said that, ma'am, maybe we will need some time because we may need a crane to send it across to you so that the crane can lift your car up and then we can get it out of its trouble. I was thinking, wow, maybe it's going to leave a huge hole in my pocket, and I was really, really worried and concerned. As I looked on concernedly, not knowing what to do, and I was standing by the side of the road, a taxi, passed by. The driver of the cab looked on, and he obviously understood the situation. He came out of the car, his cab, and then he walked up to me and said, "Ma'am, can I try?" I was like too willingly said, "Please go ahead." He obviously got behind the wheel, and then he tried to put on the accelerator. He tried to move the car, but unfortunately it didn't budge. In fact, it settled in more nicely and more happily. Uh, so I was resigned to the fact that, I don't think it can be helped and I really have to wait for someone to come. uh, One of the passersby, one of the gentlemen, God bless his soul, he was part of the group. He suggested that why not a group of people who had gathered around lift the car from the front, from the bumper side, so that the man at the helm of the affairs, the driver, could take a reverse and take the car out. As I looked on in amazement, in no seconds, a group of people had gathered around my car and they lifted the car. I mean, I was kind of guilty because I was not part of the, proceedings that was happening. And for lack of my contribution, I gingerly stepped in to see if I can support. And one of the good Samaritans from the group said, "Ma'am, step away. I think your shoes and your, dress will get dirty. We will manage it." All too happily and all too eagerly, I stepped out, offering a silent prayer of thank you to that blessed soul. And in no seconds, as I was watching, the car was lifted, and the driver behind the wheel could take the car out, and my car house was indeed out of his misery. I was seriously so happy. I'm sure you can imagine. I was really thrilled, and I offered profusely my thanks, especially to the driver who had helped me, get the car out, and to the group of people. And I was obviously ready to pay any amount because they had, in fact, got me out of huge trouble. So I offered to the driver, to the leader of the pack, "Hey, I mean, do I need to pay anything?" So he gingerly and sheepishly said, "Ma'am, maybe you can pay us some money so that we all can go out and have a round of refreshments or coffee or tea." I was very happy to do that. I took out a 500 rupee note or a 1,000 rupee note. I don't remember. Handed it over to the guy, and then I got back into my car. Few seconds later, I was getting ready to drive away. He ran back to me and he handed over the note back to me. I looked over to him and perplexed. I was confused, and I said, "Why? Why are you returning to me? I don't want it back." He said, "No, ma'am, we really don't want your money. Don't want your money. All of us the group has refused to take your money. We are happy that we helped you today. So please move on, ma'am. Please go." I looked on in amazement, and as I drove away in my car, that was full of dirt and mud, which was looking brown, I felt cleansed in my heart, thinking that there was still a lot of goodness and humane people around. And as I drove away, there was a small smile that appeared on my lips, thinking that this is great. And the frustration and the foul mood of that morning had already been forgotten. And as I drove away, leaving the dust and the fumes that had erased all my, frustration of the day, agitation of the day, leaving a happy smile on my face. So I just thought I will share this story with you guys because it brought a lot of happiness to my heart that day. And I still believe in humanity and goodness of people. And nobody expected anything in spite of a morning that was busy, peak hours. People had time to stop and help a stranger. So I'm really happy to share this story because it kind of talks about the humanity and the goodness of soul and the goodness that is still alive in this world. And that is what gives us a lot of hope and confidence to move on in this world. Thank you so much for listening to me.